6 games all. Tiebreak.
6 games all, tiebreak.
When we were doing a match earlier today, Prue, I rather got the impression that you were saying that in spite of the general view that a big server is always going to do well in a tiebreak, you often think it's the sort of percentage player who does well in a tiebreak.
I think it's ground strokes that win tiebreakers. If I said ground strokers, one might even qualify that and say ground strokes.
Edberg determined to get the net first.
Yes, his problem really throughout, even though he had that lead in the first set, is that he hasn't chipped as well as he normally does.
Good returns he's played yet. Gives him 2 love.
Because Edberg's often been upended by tiebreakers. One thinks of his match at Wimbledon against Stich.
This is a very good start. 2 outstandingly good returns of serve, gives him 3 love. Haven't yet worked out through. What about you? Where does the crowd's favour lie?
Well, I think that and perhaps it's just my mind talking, it's marginally Edberg, but I think there's a bit of a wide-eyed sort of wonder at some of Henman's shots, particularly that last one. I mean, that was a chip off the L block.
American crowds notoriously like underdogs, new kids on the block, as they say. Edberg's worrying. Clever thing for Edberg to do then, just chip that return and go in, forcing Henman to rush his shot a little bit, and he did it. That's precisely what he did do.
Yes, the problem for Edberg now, though, is that there are too many oyster shells with no pearls in them.
Took a chance there. 5-1, it was in. I wasn't sure for a minute. The crowd weren't sure either. Some don't agree.
Oh, it was a spectacular shot, because look how deep Edberg's approach was, and there was no doubt that Henman had middled it, hit right through it, and barring well, almost a miraculous, perhaps that's too strong a word, one's always tempted to say that Henman's got this wrapped up, not only the set.
His serve. There's lovely freshness about the way he plays. There's nothing edgy about failing to go for his shots. He always goes for them. And he's got 4 set points here. There's no doubt his serve has more bite. It's a heavier serve than it was, even at the start of this year. be out. It is out. The first set goes to Henman in a tie break, which he takes by 7 points to 2. And I would say that that wasn't Henman at his best, certainly through the first half of this set. But it was typical Henman in one respect, I would say, Frew, that he just gets on with the job. You don't see him falling about, looking haggard, looking worried, and then transmitting all that nervous energy to the crowd. Keeps his head down, goes for his shots, and he deserved that in the end.
Yes, I think the key really was, of course, those 2 break points that Edberg had to get 2 service breaks up. I think had he done that, there may well have been a very different story. But I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Edberg to get back into this match, because look at that. Henman's got only room for improvement on his service, whereas Edberg, I think, has actually been serving pretty well. The concerning thing for Edberg is that he really hasn't been able to take advantage of second serves. And to me, that's a department of the game that if you don't do, you've actually got too much to do in other departments. And Edberg, in many ways, from the start, with some of his strengths, return of serve, the backhand sliced approach, has not looked his real self. I think he's been almost giving Henman more credit, perhaps, than Henman deserved for his very hard-hit passing shots. And I think it's put Edberg into quite a hole, which he's going to find quite difficult, I think, and almost impossible, I believe, to dig himself out of.
There's a quarter-final berth waiting for the winner of this match against Goran Ivanisevic. He beat Medvedev early today. Start of the second set. Henman's not quite ready. There's a lot of talk and movement around him. This is New York. What does he expect? But it doesn't. Again, it doesn't bother him. The quality of Henman's returns is now quite high.
Yes, it's high because he's keeping them low. That's the difference now between the shots of the later part of that set and earlier on. Plenty of room on those racket strings of Henman's for some bit of advertising.
There's this lovely fluency about his shot making. Again, I repeat, I keep saying it's the thing that most of all impressed me about him. He doesn't play his matches at an emotional level.
Well, that actually was a shot of real brilliance. It might have seemed innocuous, but Edberg had jammed him with it, and that was remarkable use of the hands and astonishing timing. Edberg hit the volley well, but Henman just stretching the distance between his left foot and his right foot as he hit the ball was long.
Yeah.
This is when speed comes into play, because the sooner you get there, the more time and the more options, and that's important you have.
It's his fourth chance, Henman's, to break a serve here in the opening game of the second set. The forehand is the shot that analysers would say he has to work on the most.
Well, he's going to be able to save break points more often against Henman perhaps than against others, because Henman's always going to go for them. But at the same time, that's consoling if you are Henman, because it's far better to be aggressive and to miss than it is to push and to miss.
Well, this is without doubt a show of encouragement and appreciation for Edberg here. He's fought off 5 break points. This is the first time he was just 1 point from winning this game. And win it he does. 1-love, he leads in the second set. Henman leading by 1 set to love after a tie break. It's very hot down there. I don't think, at least I can't see one, I don't see where there's any evidence of exactly what the temperature is, but it was very hot here in the middle of yesterday afternoon. It's certainly very hot here today. You can see that sun up there burning down. 4 in the afternoon.
Time.
But tennis players are used to playing in these kind of temperatures. Both these are.
Sit quickly, please.
Yes, and Edberg at the change of ends with a towel which he'd shoved into the ice pack, so wet and cold, and he'd put that round his neck. But almost actually an ideal time for him, because it's been hot for most of the day, and at least as this match goes on, it's going to cool down somewhat.
Love one.